Alright guys, what's up? Today is day 57, I believe, of the 100 Days of LeetCode. We got another medium problem for you guys. Let's get to it. So, we got longest palindromic substring. It's problem number 5, okay? So, let's do it. So, we're given a string S. Return the longest palindromic substring in S. So, what a palindrome is, it's basically a string that's the same backwards as it is forwards. And basically a palindromic substring is basically just a substring that's a palindrome. So in this string, babad, we have bab, which is the longest palindromic substring because you can reverse that and still get bab, still 3 letters. Abba reversed is abba, you can still get 3 letters, okay? So that's also a valid answer. And then here we have CBBD, and the longest palindromic substring is BB because BB reversed is still BB. Okay, so let's get to solving this one. So let's first start with an answer variable, and it's going to be a string. It's going to be an empty string for now. Okay, I'm going to write a function, and we'll actually get to it in a second, okay? But basically, this function that I'm writing is going to check whether or not the current substring is a palindrome. And then if it is, it's going to keep expanding and basically figure out what the longest possible palindrome is based off of the left index and the right index of where it starts, okay? And it'll make a little more sense when I write this for loop at the bottom. So we're going to do for I in range length of S. We're going to call is palindrome on I, and we're going to call is palindrome on I and I plus 1. We're going to return answer. Now, the reason why we're calling it on I, and then I and I plus 1 is because you think of a palindrome, I mean, you can either have an odd number of letters or an even number of letters, right? And if it's an odd number of letters, well, it's going to start from the same index in the middle, and it's just going to keep expanding. So it's going to go from length 1 to length 3 to length 5 to length 7. Having said that, if we start with a distinct left and right index, then we're going to go from length 2 to length 4 to length 6 to length 8, 10, and so on. And that's why we're calling it twice inside that for loop. So hopefully that makes sense to you because we're going to start writing this function. First thing we're going to do is we're going to just say non-local answer. What this does is it basically allows us to refer to this answer variable inside this function. Okay, because we're not creating a separate answer variable inside this function. We're gonna keep referring to this one when we do our operations. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna say, well, L is greater than or equal to 0, and R is less than the length of our string S. Okay, because we don't want to keep iterating past that because I mean, by definition, the longest possible palindromic substring can't be longer than the length of the string, right? That just can't happen. So we want to stop when L is either equal to 0 or R, you know, is getting outside of the string on the other end. Okay, and we're basically just going to check if S, L, and S are equal. And if they're not, we're going to break this loop, okay? Because if they're not, right, you think about this function. This function is going to keep going wider and wider. And if we ever find a point where the left pointer and the right pointer, the left index and the right index of the string are not equal, then we don't have a palindrome anymore, right? So we can just break the loop. And what we need to do is we need to decrement L and increment R. And then after that while loop, we just want to check whether or not we need to update our answer variable. So we can say if R minus L, not 1, is greater than the length of answer, we can say answer is equal to string L plus 1 and R. And the reason why we need to do L plus 1 and R is because we've already updated our 2 variables inside the loop here. Okay, so we need to say L plus 1 because it's potential that the actual L value shouldn't be included in our palindrome. And the same thing with R. This R here, the second parameter of this sort of substring thing we got going on is always the character after what we're looking for, right? So since R has already been incremented, we can just leave it. We can just leave it at R. Okay, we don't have to do R plus 1. All right, so it should work. There you go. That's how you solve that problem. If you guys enjoyed that problem, we'll have another one for you tomorrow. Please like, subscribe, and take care.